Today, September 28th, 2024, is the infamous holiday, Ask a Question Day. So, as a 13-year-old journalist, I have a question. Have you ever heard the expression, think outside the box? Please raise your hand. Exactly. The expression means for us to think in an original and creative way. But have you ever thought about where this famous expression comes from? The origin of this expression comes from a well-known abstract math puzzle called the 9 dots puzzle. Invented by early 20th century British mathematician Henry Ernest Dudney, the puzzle involves 9 dots in a 3x3 grid. The goal is to connect all 9 dots with 4 straight lines without lifting your pen. This is the 9 dots puzzle. When I was introduced to this puzzle at school 2 years ago, I figured, well, okay, there are 9 dots. All I have to do is connect them. Simple as that. But it was easier said than done. Why? Because the puzzle is a trick. When we look at the grid of 9 dots, we think that we have to connect the 4 lines within the constraints of the box. However, we have to realize that the boundaries of the box are psychological, and the only way to successfully solve the puzzle is to extend the lines beyond these artificial boundaries. This is the solution to the 9 dots puzzle. You see, no one ever said you had to stay inside the box. We simply assume it to be a barrier of the game. However, you had to literally think outside the box to solve the puzzle. You had to be a little more abstract and go beyond what you know. But let's take this a step farther. Allow me to introduce you to journalism. Let's say we have a box. The box contains the thoughts, ideas, and opinions of one person. Everyone has their own box, their frame of thinking. I have a box, you have a box, you have a box, all of us have a box. But you can look at a box in many ways, can you not? Absolutely. Say you look at the box from within. It will be familiar, routine, and traditional. It's the way you normally think. Or say you think outside the box, which comes with risk-taking, innovation, and new ideas, like the 9 dots puzzle taught us. Or you could look at the box from different angles in which you gain varied insights and a broader understanding. It is still the same box, but you may see it in a new light. Or, to be even more abstract than we are already being, you could think as if the box does not exist, which comes with limitless possibilities, boundless imagination, breaking all constraints. When we put this all together, we have journalism, which we look at from these 4 ways: within the box, outside the box, from various angles, and without the box. Just like this box, our thinking can either confine us or set us free. It all comes down to perspective. As a kid journalist, I interviewed my role model, journalist Monica Kaufman-Pearson, last year in October 2023. Pearson has over 5 decades of experience, and I wanted to know if she had any advice. And she said, quote, "There are always 2 sides and sometimes 3 sides to every story. When you look at a story, you have to look at it from more than one way. Which is why it is important to not only do your research, but also talk to people who are affected by the story," unquote. Pearson's claim was supported by another journalist whom I interviewed, Ernie Suggs, a culture reporter. He said, quote, "You've got to be trusted at the end of the day, you've got to be fair, and you've got to go into your reporting and writing with a clear and clean mind," unquote. Pearson and Suggs have a common point: to see a box in more than one way. Today, much media is focused within the box, within the understandable zone of the audience. But there is so much more that needs to be encompassed, especially the youth perspective. You see, the average age of a journalist is 40 years old. Meanwhile, over 41% of the world's population is aged 24 and below. So, how do we ensure that youth voice is represented? Out of 8 billion people living in our world, over 3.2 billion are youth. So, where's our voice in the media? We, the youth, have something to say, and we can say it well. We don't just want a seat at the table, we want a say at the table as well. In the past year, I interviewed the mayor of Atlanta about the Year of the Youth initiative, and he said, quote, "Everything we do, we have to think about young people. Young people are our future. Continuing to invest in future generations puts them on pathways to success that will help us move forward together." Unquote. Yes, indeed, my generation is the future. And yes, investing in my generation ensures a bright future for all the generations that come after us. So, what does investing in us look like? That is where youth journalism comes in. Journalism is powerful because our voices are powerful. Journalists are the messengers, interpreters, and communicators of facts, events, and ideas, giving the public depth and breadth of knowledge to help them understand the world around them. Being a journalist gives me a platform to express my views and be heard. As a journalist, I'm able to take an idea, a spark, and ignite it into a blaze of change simply for the use of a pen and paper. So, we need to go from having an idea, perspective, to acting upon the idea, which is participation. From perspective to participation. So, what does active participation look like? In 6th grade, I started a school newspaper at my middle school. I convinced my classmates to join me in writing about interesting topics. We wrote about the World Cup, the teacher shortage, the decreasing bee population, box and whisker plots, and most importantly, school issues. These student newspapers led to a better understanding of student voices in our school community. And in fact, the administrators began incorporating our ideas into the school curriculum. What I noticed was that my peers who participated in the school journalism program, they began to realize the importance of their voices, and they began to make efforts to ensure their voices were heard. They took their perspectives and ideas and became actively involved in the school community, participation. So now the question is, how do we get other young people like me actively participating in journalism? The best strategy is education. Around 74% of secondary schools in the United States offer student journalism programs. There are key benefits to young people participating in journalism, especially in the areas of media literacy and skill development. Thousands of students participate in high school newspapers, and these students obtain better grades and higher test scores than their non-journalistic peers. So as we can see, youth journalism is powerful and has the potential to transform our current media landscape into one that pushes the boundaries of our boxes. Without youth journalists, we would not have all the sides to the story. So now I ask you to imagine a future where every story, every headline, and every news report reflects the voices and experiences of all generations, including the younger ones. In this future media landscape, youth are not just the subjects of news, but the storytellers and the journalists who help shape the narrative. In this future media landscape, you bring in fresh perspectives and new energy to the table. But this future media landscape isn't just a dream, it is within our reach. But to make it a reality, we need your help. You may ask, exactly what can I do? Well, it's simple. Give us a chance. Don't underestimate my generation. Instead, give us opportunities. My generation is able to contribute to the dialogue if given opportunities. As a youth journalist, I would not be where I am today had it not been for the adult media where I live, who has been extremely accommodating, always informing me when opportunities arise, always taking my questions when I'm at events, helping me locate good interviewees, and even inviting me to join them in the press box, reporting on current events alongside them. Seeing adults make space for my generation has been extremely inspiring, showing me that anyone has the power to give us a chance, the power to provide my generation with opportunities. If you are not a member of the media, you still have the power to give us a chance, the power to provide my generation with opportunities to be actively engaged in bringing in new perspectives. And in so doing, you move beyond the constraints of your box. Thank you.